Hi everyone, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, and joined as always by my main man, Boxing Hall of Famer, the amazing Kreskin, Teddy Atlas. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Feeling pretty good like you are that we got another win. You know, we've been riding a little bit of a wave, of a pretty good wave of picking the right winners, and the fight just ended. We live streamed with our community, the ropes, the subscription base that you developed, and all our members of the ropes were with us as we live streamed the fight, Ortiz and Lubin. And, you know, our pick, as it was on the podcast last week, I think there's a chance he catches Ortiz in the early part of the fight where he could catch him something and possibly hurt him. And as it was with all our ropes members, we picked Ortiz to win by knockout. We thought Lubin, might have a chance to catch him in spots, but at the end of the day, we took the under. Boy, we were way under. It's nice to win. My friend Billy Crackman, the big gambling man in Vegas, he's one of the great handicappers out in Vegas. He says when you got one of those easy wins, they call it a cigar game because you light the cigar up early. And this was a cigar game. This was one of those, you don't get too many of them, but we put out the under, it was 9.5, I believe. And man, it's 2 rounds. It was a cigar game. It went way under. We had Ortiz by knockout. We had Ortiz by in the under. I was talking about making a parlay, if you could make a parlay, with him and the under. You could not take Ortiz straight up. I don't care how easy he won. But before the fight going in, there's no way I was going to tell anybody to lay 1,000 to 1. It's just too much to lay. So we went to the props. We figured that after looking at tape and everything, that Ortiz could win, could make it make it an under bet. He did. Lubin's been stopped 3 times now. You could say whatever you want, but going in, he could punch. He does put together punches fairly well. He throws concise punches. There was no way he was going to win a decision. He's a guy that is conservative. He's a guy that places punches. He's a guy that fights in a controlled manner. He's not an Ortiz. Ortiz is an explosive machine when he wants to be, but he's a busy guy. Fast hands, put punches together. He's a busy guy. There was no way Lubin was going to outpoint Ortiz. Could he catch him and drop him? Maybe. That was the one thing, if you wanted Lubin, that you were bargaining on, you were hoping for, you were betting on, but not a decision, not busy enough, not with his style, his temperament. And unfortunately, his strategy, if you said one thing not to do with an explosive guy like Ortiz, or a guy who can be explosive like Ortiz, what's the one thing you don't want to do? You don't want to lay on the ropes. And what did he do? He laid on the ropes and he got taken out. And credit to Ortiz, he wasn't just only chucking punches. He was placing them well. He was going to the body. He was looking for the uppercut to split the guard of Lubin, who keeps his hands up well. And he took advantage of Lubin keeping his hands up well. Yeah, I said it. People are going to say, Teddy, what are you talking about? You're supposed to keep your hands up well. Yeah, but when you keep your hands up like in a peekaboo and you put the earmuffs on and you're not moving your head and you're on the ropes and you got your gloves up, there's an opening behind the glove. And I give Ortiz credit for having good eyes, for having that IQ, not just being a seek and destroy monster. He threw the punch behind the glove. And I add one other thing to Robert Garcia. Give him credit. The trainer, to his pupil, Ortiz. He stepped to the side. He showed science. He stepped to the sides when he had him on the ropes, to the right. And then he delivered a punch from the side where he could get a cleaner shot behind the glove. And that was the punch that really put down Lubin, that caught him real clean. So, beautiful performance. What I liked the most about Ortiz's performance was there was a control, ferocity. Yeah, he was ferocious, but there was a controlled ferocity. He was smart. He came in behind the jab. He didn't get over anxious. He got in the kitchen. He cooked up a storm, but he did it by placing punches well. And he mixed defense with offense. He moved his head on the way in. He got inside. He got his head into good defensive position while he was throwing the punches. He showed me a nice package. He showed me a nice added dimension that, quite frankly, he found in the Bohocek fight, which was his toughest fight. It was a dangerous fight. It was a fight he got dropped twice. It was a fight for the first time he went to distance. But in that fight, he showed that he could use a jab. He had good hand speed. He could use his legs. He could do something other than knock you out. He could do something else. And then, of course, he went into his last fight. In his last fight with
Madrimov.
Yeah, with Madrimov. And he showed a mixture of using his jab, boxing, and then being that ferocious guy. Getting inside, working on the inside with Madrimov, putting punches together, showing the old Ortiz that we love. The Ortiz that does explode on you. The Ortiz that does throw vicious body punches. The only thing with Madrimov, he got caught. He got caught in between. That's where I was thinking maybe Lubin will have a chance to catch him. But Lubin, putting himself on the ropes, took that chance away from himself. And the difference here was Madrimov had a better chin than Lubin. I don't think he's a better puncher than Lubin. I think Lubin, if he could have caught him, probably could have put a little bit more on it than Madrimov. But Madrimov had a better chin. And Madrimov, with his 300 amateur fights and his experience of going the distance with Crawford, he was able to survive. Lubin was not. At the end of the day, what a matchup it's going to be with him and Ennis. Because that's all people walked away from. They walked away, and you saw it in the ring. They already started promoting it, him and Ennis. I'm going to break that fight down. I'm going to look at film. I'm looking forward to doing that. But that's going to be an interesting fight. Anyway, that's my take on it. Ortiz, you got to walk away feeling good about that kid.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. And absolutely, always walk away impressed with Ortiz. I'm a big fan watching him fight. I'm a big fan of your picks over here at the ropes. I just want to start off with saying that. You're on fire. Every week I'm saying it, and I'm going to say it again, but you're good, you're good. I'm going to rattle them off. Since we started the ropes, September 13th was the first fight pick given. That was the Terrence Crawford card. Here are the picks given out. So there's been 6 winners. There's been 1 loss. The 1 loss came that night on a different card. That was Patty Donovan. Fell short to Lewis Crocker in the title fight. But here come the other picks. And they've been all wins. Inoue, the monster. Not by knockout, but by decision. Plus 350. Terrence Crawford to win. Plus 150. Boots Enos. Ennis' last fight. Under 7.5 rounds versus Lima. Knocked him out in 1. Minus 110. Took the big boys in the heavyweights. Makhmudov. It was a pick'em fight. Makhmudov won. Took Makhmudov. Wardley by KO. Plus 270. And how about Vergil Ortiz? It's really the only favorite. Minus 150. Weren't laying the minus 1,000. Minus 150 by knockout. That's 6 out of 7 picks there at the ropes. Our community's making money. They're having fun. We're going to insert again. Show you guys the link. But take a look. Check us out. There's much more than just the picks. We did a Q&A, live Zoom, Teddy's fight companion, fight commentary for the fight tonight. We'll be doing another fight November 22nd for the big Saudi card. There's tips. There's so much more. Take a look. That's the ropes. And with that being said, but I just want to wrap up that fight. That fight was in Texas. That was on DAZN. And Vergil Ortiz, like you said, he set it up for Boots. Boots was there in the ring, but I just want to go back a second. I just want to touch on Lubin because you gave all the credit to Ortiz, rightfully so, his trainer, right, Robert Garcia. But for me, it wasn't as much as what he did. It's what Lubin didn't do or allowed him to do. There was zero resistance. A lot of people thought, would this be a third time a charm for Lubin? And it wasn't. He fell short in 1 round to Charlo. Took a beating, 9 rounds versus Fundora. But in this fight, he never got into it. And in the first round, he was sitting on the ropes. He wasn't sticking his jab. He wasn't controlling distance. He just let Ortiz do what he wanted to do and walk forward and get comfortable. And it felt inevitable that the stoppage was going to come earlier because of that. So I just want to say that I was very disappointed. This Lubin, besides his third opportunity for a title fight, this is a very highly touted amateur fighter that's been around for a long time. I just expected a much better game plan or performance. It seemed like he didn't have a game plan. Came in flat. He walks in as the Matador in a nice outfit, but the Bull got him and got him quick.
I guess it's fair to say, Bud, that the Matador outfit was maybe a bad choice. Maybe a bad choice because, if you're going to be a Matador, you got to step to the side. You can't stand right in front of the Bull. You got to actually put the cape off on the side, not in front of you. Because if you put it in front of you, you're going to get gored. And I think it's fair to say he got gored. But at the end of the day, as far as the jab, you made a good point. We were watching the fight, live streaming, like we said, with our group, with the ropes. And it was fun. It was fun watching with those guys. They could get to ask questions during the fight. We were talking back and forth. They were listening to my commentary. And you brought up during the fight that he's not using his jab enough, Lubin. I said he's jabbing, but he's pushing it. He's using it like a measuring rod rather than snapping it out to control range to keep Ortiz at a certain distance and then try to catch him before he closes the distance, but he was pushing it. And when you push a jab, you allow the aggressive fighter to walk right in. There's no resistance. There's nothing keeping him out. He can walk. If you're throwing a half a jab, you know what that's? You're allowing the guy to come halfway in already. You're already saying, look, I'm not throwing it all the way out here. I'm not snapping it. So by throwing it and pushing it halfway, I'm going to let you come halfway in. You can't do that with a guy as dangerous and as explosive as Ortiz is. And he paid a price. He paid a price ultimately for that. At the end of the day, look, Lubin never got to where a lot of people, he decided not to go in the Olympics. He was a young kid. He skipped the Olympics. He turned pro. A lot of people thought he was going to be the next guy. And he never got there. He got opportunities to fight for the title. But if you look at his resume, every time he fought at that next level, that level that you have to win at if you're going to be the guy, he came up short. He just came up short. He was the fans will understand this. You guys, you say it all the time. There's levels to this thing. There's levels to this thing. Yeah, I agree with you. And those levels were shown again. There's levels to this. And he never was able, it's not a knock on him. He's a fighter. Not too many people could do what Lubin did, to get in that ring and face another man and win most of his fights. But at that next level, he was never able to do what had to be done. He would come up short. And he came up short.
Yeah, well said. Those 3 losses, all 3 by knockout now for Lubin. And we will be circling back when we get a little closer for Boots and Vergil Ortiz. Can't wait for that one. We will keep it moving. That's it for this week's recaps. But before we get into some big previews for next week, both in the boxing and the UFC world, I just want to throw at you a little boxing news. It's been reported today. I don't think it's official yet, but it sounds like it's close to being done, and that's Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. This fight will take place at 140 pounds, and it sounds like this fight's going to take place in January. Really looking forward if this one goes down to that. I think that Teofimo has been showing that he's willing to fight anybody and everybody out there. And for Shakur, I've been waiting for that dance partner. And for me, this is it. Just want to hear your take, early thoughts. What do you expect in that one?
Oh, I want to piggyback a little bit off of what you just said. I want to start by just giving them credit. You know, a lot of these guys avoid certain fights. They're not avoiding them right now. You got to give them credit. A lot of people took shots at Shakur, you know, and Teofimo at certain spots. He's avoiding this guy. He's avoiding that guy. You can't take those shots at these two guys. Definitely can't now. They are stepping up, and they are taking fights that a lot of people are probably surprised they took. Now, a lot of people will say style-wise, Teddy, style-wise, is this going to be a great fight? I don't know if it will. I mean, style-wise, I could see you having a little reservations, you know, whether or not these guys will make for dynamite. They will make, you know, for electricity. I don't know if they will, but I'll tell you what they will make for. Two skillful fighters, two talented fighters, you know, two fighters that are at a high skill level that will compete in the sweet science. I mean, Shakur showed aggression in his last fight against Zepeda, you know, being elusive while being aggressive. You know, walking them down, fighting on the inside, you know, boxing well, still being able to counter, still being able to control space, but also be able to go into tight quarters and not be afraid to show that he's good on the inside too, that he can make you miss and make you pay outside and inside. Shakur showed that. That was great. That was great, and people applaud him. I applaud him. We were sitting there ringside. I was sitting there actually with your sister, ringside, watching that fight. And it was a terrific performance. Shakur showing that dimension, showing that attitude, showing that competitiveness, showing that dog like people like to show or like to talk about, and they wanted to see in Shakur. Well, they saw it. Teofimo showed you that he can fight inside, he can fight outside. He would have the advantage of power in this fight. You know one thing that I love about this fight, Bud? Shakur's very athletic, very talented. So is Teofimo. He's more explosive with power, but Teofimo is very athletic. He is very talented. You got two athletic guys, two talented guys. Again, Teofimo I would favor with the power. This is going to be interesting. I'll give you my breakdown. I'll give you my pick when it gets closer and I do all my film work. But I'll tell you, it's a lot to like about these two athletic, talented fighters.
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw that come across the feed today. I hope it does get finalized and signed, and I can't wait to hear your preview and prediction when it does or if it does. So with that being said, we'll keep it moving. Before we do, going to give a quick pause, give a thank you to today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens, the all-in-one daily drink to support better health and peak performance. These guys spent 10 plus years with top nutritionists and doctors to create this formula. It's made from 75 whole food sourced ingredients. It has vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, and antioxidants. This is like an insurance policy for your body's health. Athletic Greens is giving our listeners 3 travel packs for free and a free welcome kit including vitamin D3 and K2 and AG1 travel packs when you first subscribe. So whether you're looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/atlas. There they are, Athletic Greens, always with us, always with Teddy. And that's going to take us but across the pond. We're going to go over to England next week. We have the rematch everybody's been waiting for. That's going to be on November 15th, and that's going to be the instant classic being rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. The bad blood is still there, the rivalry of their fathers. The first fight, we had the egg. We had Eubank Sr., the last-minute arrival. And then we had an unbelievable and unforgettable war. This time there's no blood lost. They're fighting at the same venue over there in England. And the same contracted weight of 160 pounds with the same rehydration clause of 10 pounds for the day of the fight. So Eubank cannot go over 170 pounds. With that being said, Bud, want to see, do you expect it to be maybe not quite the same war, but a similar fight as the first one? Or what are your thoughts and what can we expect for this rematch?
I want to make it clear. Go back and watch my breakdown of that fight afterwards, of my synopsis of the fight, my review of the fight. I couldn't have been more complimentary or excited, and nor shouldn't I have been. Matter of fact, as excited and as complimentary as I was about those two warriors, those two men that shared the ring that night, I could have went even further, which I don't know if I could have, but nobody could have said, oh, that's too much, Teddy, because nothing was too complimentary. Nothing would have been too much on the positive side about how iconic, how historic that fight was. A fight that people had their doubts if it could ever live up to the hype, because it was built about their fathers. It was built about the history of their fathers, two tremendous fighters over in the UK. It was built about the bad blood. You just talked about it, the egg in the face by Eubank to Benn, the whole thing. And it lived up to it. That doesn't happen too often. It surpassed it. To answer your question, can it live up to? I don't think it can. I don't think it's possible. I want to be wrong. But I don't know if it's possible. But I will tell you this. They left a lot of themselves. That was a war. Forget about how magnificent it was, how great it was for the sport, how great it was for the fans. But that was a damaging fight. That was a war, and there was collateral damage. Both fighters left parts of themselves in the ring. I believe it will come down to who left more of themselves in the ring and who left less of themselves in the ring. I think it still comes down to the bigger man is Eubank. He handled the weight. We didn't know if he could handle it. He handled it. He made the weight. It didn't take anything away from him. He had endurance. He had power. He had everything he needed to. He's bigger. He's longer. He controlled the outside for the most part. He's got the edge on the outside. His strategy was right, at least the first half of the fight, and then it just became a war. But his strategy was control the outside, try to mug Benn when Benn tries to get into a bad neighborhood. When Benn tries to walk into Eubank's neighborhood, mug him. Catch him with uppercuts. Catch him with shots while he's coming in. Because you can hit him before Benn can hit you. Benn has to get close to do his damage. And Eubank did that. He controlled the outside. But here's the thing I don't think anyone expected. Eubank controlled the inside too when he had to. Especially down the stretch. It was remarkable. And both men, the chins that they, oh my God, I'm getting excited thinking about it. The chins they showed, it was incredible. I don't know what is left. I think age is going to play. Eubank is 35. Benn is 28. I think maybe youth gets served. I'm looking at X factors. I think Eubank could go about the same approach he should. Control the outside, catch Benn coming in. Benn will try to get in, moving his head, which he did in spots really well. Get inside, and then once you get inside, set up camp, go to work. Try to go to the body and the head. Try to break down Eubank. Try to drag him into the deeper waters maybe with the older guy. At the end of the day, Eubank is the favorite again. You know, he deserves to be. He won the first time. And he won the fight. He won it clear. Great fight, but he won it clear. I'm going to go the other way. I love both guys. I love their fathers. I love what they did for the sport the last time. But I'm going to say maybe you'd get served. I'm going to go with the mental side. I already explained the physical. I'm going to go with the mental, not the technical. I'm going to say that Eubank had to prove more than Benn. Benn was undefeated, yes. Eubank had been stopped. Eubank had been beaten. Eubank, a lot of people said, you talk like your father, you promote like your father, but you're not your father. When push comes to shove, you're not your father. He had a lot to prove. He had a lot to prove, and he proved it. He proved it. And one other thing. He had a falling out with his father. His father was worried about him making a weight. It could hurt him. He could get hurt. And they didn't talk. And the father wasn't going to come to the fight. And what happened? Well, the father behaved like a father. The father showed up. He came to the fight. And he was there for his son. Wow. What a boost that was. He's not going to have that this time, bud. He had that. What a boost. Nobody knew that was going to be in the cards. Nobody knew that was written into the script. He showed up and he gave that boost to his son. That ain't happening this time. It's been done already. I think Eubank had a lot to prove. I think he proved it. I think he had a lot to prove to the fans, to himself, and to his father. I think he wanted to win the love and respect and approval of the father. He did. And that's powerful. He don't have that this time. Maybe he's satisfied a little bit. Maybe. Because he did that already. Benn has more to prove this time. Benn has more psychologically on his side than Eubank does this time. I think that's going to be a difference. You want to get my real breakdown? I mean, the props and everything else, go to the ropes, like my son tells you. But I'm not gonna make a secret. Eubank's the favorite. I like Benn. How's that, bud?
That was great. That was very interesting. I like the angle you took there, and I'm glad you said what you did, because I couldn't agree more. That was such an important and powerful moment with Eubank Sr. arriving. It gave me a boost watching it and doing the live stream with you. I know it did something special for Eubank that night. And I will say this, but just to wrap it up there, what'll be interesting to me is, because I think you nailed it, right? Eubank's 36 years old. The bigger man will be youth, will be the size. Was too much left in the ring by either one of the guys. All the points you said. I wonder, will there be a little gamesmanship? Last time Eubank struggled to make weight, and he just missed it. He was a couple ounces over, and he was fine. He was fined, I believe, $350,000 for that. I'm sure they have $500,000 per pound in this. But Eubank made a lot of money in the first fight, and he's going to make a lot of money in this fight. Do you part with some of that money? Do you not kill yourself and drain yourself as much for this fight? A la Garcia versus Devin Haney, which was a little different, but does he go that approach?
I think he might. I think that's a great point. I'm going to flip it around on you. You're good, You're good, You're good. I think that's a good point. Yeah. He's got a lot of money. He won. He's got a little money to play with. And if that's going to give him an edge, isn't it about getting an edge? If you can get an edge without cheating. We're not talking about, PEDs, that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that, obviously. But if you can get an edge without doing something dirty, and you pay for that edge, it's kind of like in gambling. Somebody like the football season's still going on, right, bud? And people are going to be betting. They're going to be betting tomorrow. This is Saturday Night Live right now. We're on Saturday night, but this will go up tomorrow. But people will be betting
on Monday.
On Monday, I'm sorry. Tomorrow on Sunday, people will be betting on the NFL. And if there's a team that they like that is an underdog and they're +3, they're going to pay a little extra money maybe to get the hook, to get that extra point. They pay a few dollars, they get that hook. Now instead of being +3, they're +3.5. They got a little edge. You don't think that the same mentality would apply here? Yeah, to what my son just said. Yeah, they might buy that hook. That's how I'm going to put it. They might pay for that hook.
Yeah, no question. And I do feel like, talking about gambling terms there, Eubank is playing with house money. I feel like all the pressure in the world is on Benn, right? He's the one that got egged in the face. He's the one that got disrespected. He's the one who lost the first fight, and he's the younger man. I feel like Eubank comes in here free and obviously confident coming off of the first win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I am sliding with the side of a little more to prove, a little bit more urgency. And I believe in the mental side of this game. And I'm gonna look, they both caught each other big shots. They both hurt each other. But I also saw Benn, who I'm favoring here, I saw him hurt Eubank early. I saw him hurt him a little middle and late too. And I think that there's an opportunity. Maybe he can do that again. And maybe this time, he goes a little further with it because of the things I just pointed out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And maybe this time he's more adjusted, the smaller man, to the bigger weight and to this weight class. I think he came in at 156. We'll see what he comes in this go around. But maybe he bulked himself up and is a little more comfortable at the higher weight class, I should say. So I know one thing, bud. I'm not going against you. So I'll be waiting for that pick. I'll be waiting for the ropes pick, and I'll be riding that. Like I just said, 6 out of 7. Whoever you go with, I'm with you. So we'll be back with more, and we'll be recapping that fight after next week. So again, if you guys want, go take a look at the first fight. It's up. It's available. Teddy did the live stream, Fight Companion, for the first one, Eubank and Benn. It's still up here on the YouTube channel. Take a peek, listen to that. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the UFC. Next week is the big one, UFC 322. Want to preview the main event. And that's going to be for the welterweight championship. That's Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. You're going to be there live covering it for ESPN there at Madison Square Garden at your home there in New York. And this is going to be Islam Makhachev's opportunity to become a two-weight champion. He's moving up where he had the title at 155. He's going on up to 170. And Jack just got that belt from Belal Muhammad. This will be his first title defense. Just want to get right into it. Your thoughts, preview, and prediction. Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev.
Well, Makhachev is the favorite. All right, we understand that. He's they're both great. They're both terrific. They're both well.
And I just wanted to say the as you just said, but the challenger Makhachev is almost a 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, and look, the guy's a destroyer. The guy is on the floor, on the mat. I mean, he is a monster on the mat. And you don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you that Makhachev, they're both well-rounded fighters, but Makhachev has the big edge on the mat. Again, you don't need me to tell you that. He is a monster on the mat. And right now, I believe that the way that the line is set up, it is set up where the bookies are saying that they believe Makhachev will submit Maddalena, that it won't go the distance. And I understand that because, again, of his prowess on the mat. He's physically strong. Even though he's moving up, he is physically the stronger, of the two fighters. But as good as Makhachev, and I just gave him his props, as good as he is on the mat, that is how good Maddalena is at striking. He is a good, wily, smart, versatile striker. He doesn't have TNT in his hands, but he can hurt you. He puts punches together. He'll hurt you with combinations. And his defense is good. He creates offensive opportunities. I don't see a lot of UFC fighters do this. I see my game do it, boxing. But Maddalena, he creates offensive opportunities with his defense. He moves his head so well, he makes you miss, and he puts himself in position to counter, to make you pay, as we like to say in the boxing industry. So you got a terrific striker against a good striker, but a great guy on the floor when it comes to the grappling and everything else involved with the floor. You got a 5-year age difference. Makhachev is 34. Maddalena is 29. 5 years. I'm not discounting that. I'm weighing that in. And you know what I'm really weighing in? How many times have you heard Teddy Atlas say this? And a lot of the UFC great commentators started saying this after I said it a few years ago. And they are great commentators. They don't need any help from me. But I made a point years ago that Cuss always told me, the old timers always told me, that when you win a title, you become 30% better. Maddalena just won a title. I'm looking to see if he becomes 30% better. If he becomes 30% better, you know what? That's not that ain't nothing to shake a stick at. If he becomes 30% better, you gotta take that into account. And if that happens, well, I know it's hard to bet against Makhachev. I know the bookmakers have him favored for a reason. But you know what? I'm going to start with this. I like the over. I don't think that he's going to get... The bookmakers are kind of telling you got to lay more money if you like the under. I like the over. I think the under-over is 2.5 rounds. I'm not sure what the lay is, what the money is as far as laying. But I can tell you if that's accurate, 2.5 rounds, I like the over. I'll tell you that. And, you ready? I think Maddalena has a shot. It's hard to go against Makhachev. I am not laying the wood to take Makhachev. If I make one bet, I would make the bet for the over. But if I made 2 bets, I'm taking Maddalena to upset him, with a shot to upset him. That's all. I'm not saying, Teddy said he's going to win. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I like the over. But you want to put a little something on Maddalena because of what I just said, to have a shot to pull off a nice upset? I don't think you're crazy. And I don't think I'm crazy by saying I still think Makhachev should be the favorite. I understand it. I understand his prowess on the floor, on the mat, his dominance on the mat, his confidence on the mat. I understand all of that. I also understand, I'll finish with this. Maddalena has the edge as far as the striker, but he's not bad with his defense over the takedowns. He's not bad. You have to be better than not bad against Makhachev. I get it. But he is pretty good with his takedown defense. And if he can use his legs and get his way and make it his fight, because that's, as a trainer, that's what I'm always looking to do. I want to make it my guy's fight. I want my guy to fight to his strengths and to the other guy's weaknesses and stay away from the other guy's strengths. So I'm always looking to set up a fight plan where we fight our fight. If Maddalena can fight his fight and stay on his feet and strike and control range and use his legs and give angles and use his jab and be elusive and keep himself from getting taken down, if he can do that, and that's a big if, but if he can do that, I think he can pull off an upset. He's got a shot, but I like the over. How's that sound?
Yeah, I like the breakdown. I like the reasoning. It all makes sense to me. And I'm with you. It's going to have to be really good, the defense. But he did display that against Bilal Muhammad. It's not Islam Makhachev, but to win the title, the takedown defense was very impressive by Jack. He's going to have to do it all night long. He's probably going to, in my opinion, with that striking you're touching on, have to hurt Makhachev to slow him down and make him respect something so he doesn't just come right in.
Yeah, that's fair, bud. That's very fair. And you know what? On the other side, there's a flip side to that coin. Flip side to that coin, kind of like in the movie Heat. What an underrated movie. Heat. What a movie. Pacino and De Niro, I believe, the first time together on the air. I believe. But when they met in a diner, and they were both, one was a cop, one was a gangster, and they were both, of course, De Niro was the gangster, and they were both saying about if they ever meet, you know? And then all of a sudden, Pacino's laid out what would happen if they met. And then all of a sudden, De Niro says, well, there's a flip side to that coin. I love that. I love that line. There's a flip side to that coin. Well, there's a flip side to the coin that we just talked about. Makhachev has to deal with the legs, the boxing ability, as I just said, of Maddalena. And Makhachev, he might be, I don't know if he'll be pressured, but he might be well served to go to the body. Obviously, he'll use kicks to the legs, but he might be well served to go to the body of Maddalena to take some of the air out of those tires, to take some of that movement away. Because that is one of the things that Maddalena is going to look to do, to move, to keep him from being able to take him down. And the last thing I add on it is this. When Makhachev goes for the shoot, when he goes for that takedown, and he's very good, and he's very quick, but sometimes you could see it coming. If Maddalena could control range enough, where he keeps gaps, and he makes Makhachev shoulder shoot from a little further than he wants to, well, then two things Maddalena could do. One, he could avoid it. And two, maybe he could time him with a knee. I know in boxing we would say an uppercut. And maybe it could be an uppercut too. But maybe it could be a knee. Anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. He's going to have to negate some of that wrestling. And if he could do that, then maybe he could be the first man to defeat Makhachev in over 10 years. 2015 was the last loss for Islam Makhachev. It came by first-round knockout. So I can't wait. I thought that was a great breakdown. This is a loaded card. And I'm excited, not just for the main event, bud, but excited to be with you and be there live at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And you know what? It's going to be bittersweet. It's going to be great, bud. It's going to be great. And Madison Square Garden is going to be electric. And we're home, and you're going to be there with me, and I'm blessed. But it's going to be ESPN's last card with UFC, because UFC is going over to Paramount. Paramount just gave them $8 billion. That's a little bit of change, you know. $8 billion, that might convince me to go across the street too. I don't know. Paramount, I think, gave them $8 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood, for UFC to go over and be televised by them. So this will be the last time you'll see UFC on ESPN.
Yeah, and for fighting, period, right? We already lost boxing. Now UFC, like you said, going over to Paramount. They'll have wrestling with the WWE, but that's it for combat for ESPN. So that is bittersweet, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. It's the changing of times, and the passing of times. Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, time. I wish you had more time.
I hear you. I hear you, Mr. Denzel Washington, from Man on Fire. I hear you.
That's what I'm going to start calling you, Man on Fire, because you are on fire. And that wraps up another great week of picks, another great episode. And appreciate you, bud, as always. I know it's late there on the East Coast. Hopefully you could sign off here and get some rest. But before we do, just going to give you the floor. Any final words?
Yeah, I'm gonna get some rest, and then I'm gonna go to work. My boss, gave me fights I have to break down tomorrow that I have to break down for the ropes, for everybody, but in particular for the ropes. I got to look at tape. I got to look at that Saudi card, that incredible Saudi card that's coming up with, 4 fights? I think it's four incredible fights. So I got a lot of film work to do tomorrow, and I'll be looking to do that. And I will just say to everybody out there, God bless. Thank you for being with us, and pass the word. Continue to build this. We have 325,000 subscribers. We appreciate every one of you. Pass the word around. We want to grow it even more because we want to keep doing this. And part of continuing to do this is to have growth. So we want to continue doing this. We want to continue to build the ropes. And we want to do what we always do. Tell you how we appreciate you. God bless.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being with us as always. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys again next week.